the same language from which Sanskrit and the Hindu traditions are derived.
The intellectual wealth of India, dating back to ancient times, has long been underestimated and sometimes even ignored altogether. Sanskrit, as a language, for example, is yet to see the level of appreciation that a language of this level of sophistication deserves. At least this is what NASA scientist Rick Briggs believes. Finally, NASA admits this shocking fact from the Hindu texts. This is unbelievable, and rightfully so, because we're not talking about the past, but about the future. Briggs, for one, asserts that this ancient Indian language could be the key to unlocking the future of artificial intelligence. Briggs proposed that Sanskrit's remarkable precision and structured grammar make it the ideal language for developing AI systems capable of representing knowledge unambiguously. But wait, there's much more to the intellectual richness of Sanskrit and the civilization that made it possible. Let's get started on deciphering these mysteries. The unique features of Sanskrit. An ancient language with deep roots in Indian history, Sanskrit continues to captivate both linguistic and philosophical communities, not just for its historical significance, but also for its profound relevance in contemporary fields, such as artificial intelligence and computational linguistics. While natural languages such as English, French, or Mandarin often harbor ambiguities, leading to complexities in knowledge representation, Sanskrit stands apart with its exceptional capacity to express ideas with unparalleled clarity and structural integrity. This makes Sanskrit an ideal candidate for an exploration of AI. Yes, you heard that right. An ancient language may be the key to our collective futures, but how is that even possible? Well, let's find out. For centuries, scholars in the linguistic and philosophical domains have sought ways to design languages capable of articulating complex ideas without room for misinterpretation. From the early works of Aristotle, who laid the foundation for logical reasoning, to modern AI researchers aiming to improve knowledge representation in machine systems, the search for a language that could embody perfect logical structure has been a guiding principle. Sanskrit, however, takes this search a step further, offering a language that not only represents ideas with precision, but does so with a rigor that makes it uniquely suited for scientific inquiry and technological advancement. One of the defining characteristics of Sanskrit is its rigid grammatical structure, which contrasts sharply with the syntactical flexibility and ambiguity of most natural languages. While languages such as English allow for a great deal of freedom in sentence construction, Sanskrit's grammar is highly rule-based, leaving little room for error. The language is built upon an intricate system of rules that govern how words relate to one another, dictating their forms and placements within a sentence. This rigor is not merely an academic curiosity, but serves a far greater purpose in ensuring clarity and consistency in communication. In computational terms, it's as if Sanskrit is already encoded with a deeply structured algorithm for expressing meaning. What sets Sanskrit apart, particularly in the realm of artificial intelligence, is its extraordinary ability to represent complex ideas with unambiguous clarity. This quality is crucial in AI systems, where understanding and processing human knowledge requires eliminating vagueness. For example, in most languages, the sentence, "John gave the ball to Mary," could be interpreted in various ways, depending on word order, context, or other linguistic nuances. However, in Sanskrit, the sentence, "John gave the ball to Mary," or "Jonna Mariai Kridangakam Datavan," can only mean one thing. This is because every element of this sentence would be meticulously assigned a role based on the grammatical rules of the language. Jonna or John is clearly marked as the agent or doer of the action. Mariai, or to Mary, is clearly marked as the recipient. Kridangakam, or the ball, is the object. And Datavan, or gave, is the verb indicating the action. This precision arises from the Karaka system in Sanskrit grammar, which systematically assigns roles such as agent or karta, object or karma, instrument or karana, recipient or sampradana, and more. This system leaves no room for interpretation errors, unlike natural languages like English or Hindi, where context and word order play significant roles in determining meaning. For example, the English sentence, "John gave the ball to Mary," can be misrepresented if word order changes, or if context leads to ambiguity about roles or intent. But in Sanskrit, there can be no room for misinterpretation. This makes the language computationally ideal for encoding knowledge in a manner that can be understood and processed without ambiguity. This unique characteristic of Sanskrit allows it to serve as a bridge between human languages and AI systems. Modern AI systems often rely on complex algorithms to process natural language, seeking to reduce ambiguity and ensure that machines can understand and generate human-like responses. However, these systems frequently face challenges due to the inherent uncertainties present in natural languages. Sanskrit, in contrast, offers a language that naturally aligns with the requirements of AI systems. It is precise, logical, and structured in such a way that it can be easily translated into a form that machines can interpret without ambiguity. In this sense, Sanskrit could be viewed as an ancient precursor to the programming languages and data structures of today. Moreover, Sanskrit's deep philosophical roots further contribute to its significance in computational linguistics and AI. The language was not merely a tool for communication, but a means of exploring the nature of reality. Ancient Indian sages and scholars viewed language as an essential element of understanding the universe, believing that the structure and sound of words could reveal deeper metaphysical truths. This fusion of linguistic structure and philosophical inquiry infuses Sanskrit with a sense of depth that is often absent in other languages. Its role in capturing both the essence of thought and the nature of reality positions it as a scientifically advanced language far ahead of its time. In the world of AI, where precision and clarity are non-negotiable, Sanskrit's unyielding commitment to these principles provides a blueprint for future advancements in language processing, machine learning, and knowledge representation. To get a better sense of things, we can take a jog through history. Historical background: Panini and generative grammar. The work of the ancient Indian scholar Panini, particularly his monumental text Ashtadhyayi, written around the 4th century BCE, stands as a foundational cornerstone in the development of linguistic theory, influencing not only the study of Sanskrit grammar, but also offering insights that remarkably parallel modern computational linguistics and computer algorithms. Panini's contributions to the structure of language were groundbreaking, and his sophisticated grammatical framework continues to shape the understanding of language structure to this day. His approach to language, known as generative grammar, has profound implications, drawing striking parallels with contemporary computational techniques used in the field of artificial intelligence and natural language processing. Panini's Ashtadhyayi is a text that consists of 3,959 sutras, or concise rules, meticulously outlining the entire grammar of Sanskrit, covering phonetics, morphology, and syntactic structure. Unlike many of the grammar systems of his time, Panini's work was not simply descriptive, but prescriptive, laying down an exhaustive set of rules for generating all forms of Sanskrit words from a finite set of sounds and roots. The Ashtadhyayi operates within a framework of clear, well-defined rules, which systematically derive every possible form of a Sanskrit word from a limited set of base elements. This process of rule-based transformation is strikingly similar to the principles underlying modern computational algorithms, which use a finite set of instructions to generate or transform data according to predefined rules. In Panini's system, the structure of the language is governed by rules that specify how words can be built from smaller units called morphemes. These rules are applied recursively, and each rule can be invoked in specific contexts, creating new forms from the roots of words. Panini's grammar is generative, in that it not only describes the forms found in Sanskrit, but provides a systematic method for generating those forms from basic linguistic units. His approach was incredibly systematic, abstract, and precise, and it was essentially the earliest known formalization of a language's syntactic structure. Panini's grammar was based on a deep understanding of the recursive nature of language and the relationships between words and their meanings, which is conceptually aligned with the recursive algorithms that govern modern computer programming languages. To better understand these concepts, imagine starting with a simple Sanskrit root, such as gam, meaning to go. Panini's Ashtadhyayi provides a series of systematic rules to transform this root into various word forms. By adding the suffix ati, the root is transformed into gachati, which conveys the present tense in a third-person singular form, meaning he, she, or it goes. For the past tense, the root undergoes a contextual adjustment, with gam replaced by gamat, resulting in agamat. meaning he, she, or it went. Further refinement occurs through phonetic rules, which adjust the sound or structure of the word based on its position in a sentence or interaction with neighboring words. This sequence demonstrates how a finite set of roots, sounds, and rules can generate an infinite variety of grammatically correct forms. Panini's grammar not only describes existing word forms, but also provides instructions to create any valid word in Sanskrit. This is like a computer algorithm taking a basic input and, using a series of conditional steps or recursive functions, transforming it into complex outputs. What makes Panini's system even more extraordinary is its resemblance to the formal grammar used in contemporary computer science. Modern computational linguistics employs a range of formal grammar models, such as context-free grammars or CFGs, which are used to describe the syntactic structures of programming languages and natural languages. These grammars, based on formal rules, allow for the generation of sentence structures or programming constructs from simple components. When we examine Panini's Ashtadhyayi, we find a remarkably similar structure. His system can be thought of as a type of context-free grammar in which rules are applied to generate linguistic structures systematically. Panini's work thus foreshadowed many of the concepts that would later become central to modern computer science, particularly in the development of programming languages. One of the key insights in Panini's generative grammar is the concept of transformations or rules that modify or generate forms based on context. This is analogous to modern computational methods where recursive functions or algorithms transform input data into a final output through a series of steps. Panini's rules are applied iteratively, with each step building on the previous one. Similar to how modern computational algorithms operate, the iterative nature of Panini's grammar is a hallmark of generative approaches, where the application of one rule leads to the application of another. This recursive process mirrors the way computational models in AI use iterative algorithms to analyze and process language data. Let's take an example of how Panini's generative grammar transforms a Sanskrit root into a complete word, and compare it to a step-by-step computational process. Start with the root path, which means to read. Apply a rule to indicate the present tense. A grammatical marker is added, giving pathe or reads. Add the suffix for third-person singular, transforming patha into pathati, which translates to he reads. This process is iterative, where each rule builds on the outcome of the previous one. For instance, the root doesn't become a full word in one step. It evolves systematically by applying rules in sequence. This is similar to how an algorithm in computational models processes data step by step. For example, if a program transforms raw data into a refined result, each rule corresponds to a processing step, and the final output depends on completing all the intermediate steps accurately. Additionally, Panini's grammatical framework possesses a level of efficiency that modern computer scientists recognize as crucial to effective algorithms. His system relies on a set of minimal, highly optimized rules that can generate a wide range of linguistic outcomes from a small set of base units. This efficiency is akin to the elegant code in programming, where a few concise instructions can accomplish a great deal. Panini's grammar is also highly modular, meaning that smaller units of meaning, such as roots, prefixes, and suffixes, can be combined in numerous ways to create a vast array of words and meanings. This modularity is a key feature in programming languages, where smaller code modules can be combined and reused to create more complex programs or functions. The concept of generative grammar in Sanskrit has also been explored in computational linguistics through the development of formal syntactic theories, such as Chomskyan grammar. Noam Chomsky's theories of syntax, which emerged in the mid-20th century, were directly influenced by the ideas set forth by Panini. Chomsky introduced the notion of generative grammar, emphasizing the use of formal rules to generate the syntax of a language, just as Panini had done over 2 millennia earlier. The recursive and rule-based nature of Panini's grammatical system is a precursor to the computational models Chomsky developed to understand and generate the structure of natural languages. Thus, Panini's work connects ancient linguistic traditions to the modern computational field. Sanskrit's highly structured grammatical rules also make it particularly well-suited for use in the development of artificial intelligence. In AI, where precise and unambiguous processing of information is crucial, the clarity and logical coherence inherent in Sanskrit's grammar can facilitate more accurate models for natural language processing, or NLP. This has led some to propose that Sanskrit's grammatical framework could be an invaluable resource for advancing computational linguistics, particularly in the realms of machine learning and AI, where efficiency and precision in language representation are essential. Now, we can take a look at how NASA experts are weighing in on the matter. Rick Briggs's paper on Sanskrit and AI. Rick Briggs's paper on Sanskrit and its potential role in the development of artificial intelligence highlights the unique qualities of Sanskrit that make it not only a tool for cultural and philosophical expression, but also an invaluable resource for modern computational systems. Briggs suggests that Sanskrit, with its meticulously defined grammatical structure and logical precision, offers an ideal linguistic framework for representing knowledge in artificial intelligence systems where clarity, unambiguity, and computational efficiency are paramount. Sanskrit's structure closely aligns with the core requirements of AI, particularly when it comes to knowledge representation. In AI, one of the most fundamental challenges is how to represent information in a way that allows machines to reason, learn, and make decisions in a manner that reflects human understanding. Knowledge representation in AI requires that data be encoded in a form that is both logically consistent and easy for machines to process. In this regard, Sanskrit's grammar and syntax stand out for their ability to express ideas with extreme precision, leaving little room for ambiguity. Unlike many modern languages, which can be subject to vagueness or multiple interpretations depending on context, Sanskrit's rigidly defined grammatical rules ensure that meaning is conveyed unambiguously. This feature is particularly important for AI, where the interpretation of data must be as exact as possible for systems to function properly. Briggs draws attention to the fact that Sanskrit is not just a natural language, but a highly systematic system for encoding and transmitting knowledge. In natural languages, words often have multiple meanings, and the meaning of a sentence can shift based on word order or the context in which it is used. However, in Sanskrit, the structure is so precise that meaning is encoded in a way that remains clear, even without reliance on context. Sanskrit's use of compounds or samasa, where multiple words are combined to create a single precise concept, mirrors the kind of logical conjunctions used in AI to merge information from different sources into a coherent whole. This ability to build new meanings from smaller components while maintaining clarity is vital to AI, where the synthesis of knowledge from various inputs must happen without confusion or misinterpretation. Sanskrit's ability to represent knowledge logically and unambiguously becomes evident when we consider the structural elements of the language itself. A key feature of Sanskrit grammar is its use of sandhi, which are the rules governing the fusion of words. These rules ensure that when words are combined, they do so in a way that preserves their underlying meaning. This prevents ambiguity and mirrors the way AI systems handle multiple pieces of data or variables, ensuring that they are processed together coherently without loss of meaning. Sanskrit also employs a rich system of verb conjugation and noun declension, which allows for a high level of syntactical flexibility while preserving meaning. This flexibility, combined with its rigid grammatical rules, allows Sanskrit to express complex ideas clearly and precisely, just as AI systems must handle multifaceted knowledge without error or inconsistency. To illustrate how Sanskrit's structure reflects computational precision in conveying meaning, consider the following example of a Sanskrit sentence, Gachati Purusha, or the man is going. While the words themselves seem simple, the grammatical structure of this sentence provides multiple layers of meaning. The verb gachati, which means is going, is conjugated for the third-person singular subject, Purusha, or man, and the sentence is clear in its meaning without any need for additional context. This simplicity and clarity are achieved through the use of specific grammatical rules that define the relationship between the subject and the verb. Now, imagine expanding this into more complex sentences or using compound words, as is common in Sanskrit. A compound such as Raghukula Purusha, or the man of the Raghukula dynasty, encodes a wealth of meaning with precision and no room for misinterpretation, a feature critical for any system designed to process and understand information, whether human or artificial. Another example is the sentence Yam Rishi Muni Brahmita, or the sage, the hermit, wandered. In this example, the use of the dual Muni, hermit, alongside Rishi or sage in the same sentence, through the rules of Sanskrit grammar, ensures that the meaning is perfectly clear and unambiguous. There is no need for further clarification, as the language's inherent structure guides the interpretation without leaving room for multiple conflicting readings. This characteristic of Sanskrit is highly advantageous in AI systems, where precise meaning must be extracted from data without misunderstanding or error. Briggs' assertion that Sanskrit could play a role in AI development is not merely speculative. The language's syntactic and semantic structures are seen as uniquely suited to the needs of AI. But how is this possible in the case of an ancient language? A deliberate approach to linguistic precision. The development of Sanskrit as a language is not merely the result of natural linguistic evolution, but a deliberate and methodical effort by ancient Indian scholars to create a language that encapsulates the deepest principles of knowledge, philosophy, and the universe. The ancient Indian scholars approached language as a tool for the exact representation of thought and reality. Unlike many natural languages that evolve organically and reflect the messy, imprecise nature of human communication, Sanskrit was purposefully constructed to be exact and to eliminate ambiguity. Every element of the language, from its phonetics to its syntax, was designed to achieve clarity in communication. The key to this precision lies in the structure of Sanskrit, where each word and its inflection convey a wealth of meaning, and where the system of karakas, or grammatical roles, ensures that the relationships between elements in a sentence are unambiguous. This precision was not just for the sake of communication, but was intertwined with the ancient philosophical belief that language, when used properly, could reveal the true nature of the universe. The ancient Indian intellectual tradition also sought to align language with philosophical and metaphysical principles. The language was not simply a system of sounds or symbols, but a means through which scholars could express complex ideas about the nature of existence, consciousness, and the cosmos. Philosophers like Patanjali, in his Yoga Sutras, and Nagarjuna, in his work on emptiness, contributed to the refinement of Sanskrit as a language capable of expressing the subtleties of human experience and the intricacies of metaphysical concepts. Sanskrit's precise grammatical system allowed them to formulate ideas in ways that could be studied, debated, and understood with greater depth, providing a clear framework for exploring the fundamental nature of reality. This quest for clarity and precision in language was not just an academic pursuit, but also a spiritual and philosophical one. The ancient Indian worldview posited that by mastering language, one could gain insight into the very workings of the universe. Language, therefore, was viewed as a gateway to understanding the natural laws that govern existence. In Sanskrit, every word, inflection, and structure was imbued with this potential for deeper comprehension, making it a tool not only for communication, but for the very process of intellectual and spiritual exploration. Speaking of intellectual and spiritual exploration, let's get some context about the civilization that came up with such a precise universal language. Impressive wealth of knowledge in ancient India. The intellectual tradition of ancient India was both profound and far-reaching, with scholars and sages developing sophisticated systems of thought that continue to influence modern disciplines. This immense body of knowledge, often embedded in sacred texts and philosophical treatises, was passed down through generations and nurtured by institutions like the ancient universities of Nalanda and Takshashila. The intellectual contributions of ancient India were not only remarkable for their depth and accuracy, but also for their integration across various domains, revealing a holistic understanding of the world. One of the most impressive aspects of ancient Indian knowledge is its early development of mathematical concepts, particularly the concept of zero. The ancient Indian mathematician Brahmagupta, in the 7th century CE, was one of the first to formally describe zero as both a numeral and a concept in arithmetic. His treatise Brahmasfuta Siddhanta detailed rules for arithmetic operations involving zero, including the addition and subtraction of zero to other numbers, as well as division by zero. This groundbreaking concept laid the foundation for modern mathematics and calculus. Moreover, the ancient Indians were pioneers in trigonometry, with mathematicians like Aryabhata developing sine tables and working on astronomical calculations to understand planetary movements. Ancient Indian astronomy, closely linked with mathematics, was also highly advanced. Aryabhata's Aryabhatiya, written in the 5th century CE, made significant contributions to understanding the Earth's rotation, the concept of the day, and the calculation of the length of the year. Aryabhata's assertion that the Earth rotates on its axis and his calculations of the solar and lunar eclipses were centuries ahead of their time. These ideas, presented with mathematical precision, challenged the geocentric models of the universe and demonstrated the depth of Indian knowledge in the field of astronomy. In the field of medicine, ancient Indian scholars developed the science of Ayurveda, which remains a respected practice even today. Texts like the Karaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita laid out principles for maintaining health, diagnosing diseases, and performing surgeries. The Sushruta Samhita, written around the 6th century BCE, is one of the oldest surviving medical texts and includes detailed descriptions of surgical techniques, including procedures for cataract surgery, plastic surgery, and the use of medical instruments. These texts also emphasize the importance of a balanced diet and lifestyle, providing an early and sophisticated understanding of the human body and its needs. In philosophy, ancient Indian thinkers explored the nature of reality, consciousness, and existence in ways that were profound and ahead of their time. The Upanishads, a collection of philosophical texts written between 800 and 400 BCE, introduced concepts such as the nature of the soul, or Atman, and its relationship to the ultimate reality, or Brahman, which forms the core of Vedantic philosophy. These texts pondered metaphysical questions regarding the self, the universe, and the nature of knowledge itself. The contributions of philosophers like Patanjali, who outlined the Yoga Sutras around the 2nd century BCE, laid the groundwork for understanding the mind-body connection and the pathways to self-realization. Patanjali's work, which has influenced fields such as psychology, neuroscience, and spirituality, offers a systematic approach to achieving mental clarity and spiritual enlightenment. Ancient Indian thinkers also made important contributions to logic, especially through the work of philosophers like Gautama, who authored the Nyaya Sutras in the 2nd century BCE. The Nyaya system emphasized reasoning, inference, and debate as central to acquiring knowledge, and it outlined a formal approach to logic that includes concepts such as valid and invalid arguments, the role of perception and inference in knowledge acquisition, and the categorization of different types of logical reasoning. The principles of Nyaya were developed into a rigorous system of logic that influenced both Indian and Western traditions of reasoning. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita, a philosophical text embedded within the Mahabharata, offers profound insights into duty, the nature of the self, and the universe. It explores the paths of devotion, knowledge, and action, offering a framework for leading a balanced and purposeful life. The immense wealth of knowledge cultivated in ancient India also extended to arts, architecture, and the social sciences. The intricacies of Vastu Shastra, a system of architecture that emphasizes harmony between human dwellings and natural forces, reflect the intellectual sophistication of ancient Indian builders and architects. The ability to integrate cosmic principles into architectural designs ensured that structures not only functioned well, but also contributed to the well-being of the inhabitants. For instance, the construction of the Brihadiswara temple in Thanjavur, built in the 11th century, exhibits not only architectural grandeur, but also a deep understanding of the forces of nature. The temple's precise alignment with cardinal directions and its massive central dome are believed to harmonize with the Earth's magnetic field, ensuring a perfect balance between cosmic energies and human space. Modern architects, such as Charles Correa, have remarked on the spiritual and scientific insights embedded in such designs, suggesting that ancient Indian architecture is often ahead of its time. Another notable example is the use of water management systems in ancient Indian cities like Dholavira, an archaeological marvel in Gujarat. The city's intricate water conservation techniques, including stepwells and reservoirs designed to harness seasonal rains, demonstrate an understanding of sustainable development long before it became a global priority. Contemporary engineers, including those working on sustainable urban planning, often refer to Dholavira's water management system as a work of engineering genius that modern technologies still struggle to replicate in some parts of the world. A remarkable legacy, right? And now, artificial intelligence. Sanskrit's role in modern AI and computational linguistics. Sanskrit's influence on modern AI and computational linguistics is an extraordinary intersection of ancient wisdom and cutting-edge technology. Rick Briggs, a notable AI researcher, observed that AI often finds itself reinventing concepts that were already established by ancient scholars, with Sanskrit being a prime example. The language's precision, structure, and logical capabilities were ahead of their time, embodying principles that AI now seeks to emulate. Panini's work on generative grammar exemplifies this, with its rule-based structure for sentence formation being strikingly similar to modern natural language processing algorithms. This makes Sanskrit a powerful tool for AI, particularly in knowledge representation, where clarity, precision, and logical consistency are paramount. The resurgence of interest in Sanskrit, particularly in relation to AI and computational linguistics, highlights its lasting relevance. After centuries of colonial neglect, scholars have begun to rediscover the language's potential to contribute to fields like machine translation, semantic networks, and AI research. Sanskrit's systematic grammatical framework allows AI systems to represent and process knowledge with exceptional accuracy, offering a more holistic approach to language understanding than contemporary AI models. This linguistic depth, coupled with its philosophical principles of interconnectedness and complexity, inspires a more nuanced approach to artificial intelligence, emphasizing a comprehensive framework that mirrors the complexity of human cognition. As AI continues to evolve, Sanskrit's methods present a blueprint for creating systems that not only replicate human intelligence, but enhance it, fostering more nuanced and precise computational technologies. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? If you did, please consider liking, dropping a comment, and hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our new uploads. Also, don't miss this video you see on your screen right now. It's truly unbelievable.